Before the roar of the crowd, before the glitter of 1,000 headlines, there was a silent boy in a modest house in Kent, clutching his secret dreams to his chest. His name was Mick Jagger, and no one could have guessed that the quiet child pacing through his small English town would one day become the face and voice of rock and roll rebellion. Long before the world screamed his name, he walked those streets with a quiet defiance, already feeling like a stranger in the life set before him. There's something deeply compelling about a man who was never supposed to be what he became. What makes someone step so far outside the path they were given? What cost does it take to trade normalcy for legend? Born in 1943, Michael Philip Jagger grew up in Dartford, Kent, in a strict household where discipline and order were held above all else. His father was a physical education teacher, a man of rules and routines. His mother, practical and conservative, expected him to fall in line and follow the traditional route of education, career, and family. But something inside Mick didn't fit into that mold. In the stillness of his bedroom, he would listen for hours to the raw sound of American blues records, feeling something deep and unexplainable stir in his chest. These weren't just songs to him. They were escape hatches, letting him taste freedom he hadn't yet lived. That yearning never left him. Even as he walked the proper halls of the London School of Economics, studying finance to meet his family's expectations, he was sneaking out at night to sing in smoky clubs. He wore a suit by day and rebellion by night. It was during this time that a random encounter changed everything. At the Dartford train station, Mick ran into his childhood acquaintance Keith Richards. What started as a friendly chat quickly turned into a bond over blues music, and from that moment on, the two were inseparable. Alongside Brian Jones, they formed the Rolling Stones, a band born not from ambition alone, but from a desperate hunger to feel alive. The early days weren't glamorous. They played small venues, struggled to get noticed, and juggled financial insecurity with growing artistic passion. Then something unexpected happened. The Beatles handed them a lifeline in the form of a song, "I Want to Be Your Man." That single hit changed everything. It shot up the charts and catapulted the Stones into a new reality. But unlike the clean-cut Beatles, the Rolling Stones embraced their image as the wild, dangerous alternative. Their music was raw, their performances electric, and Mick, now front and center, was a force of nature. Songs like Satisfaction, Paint It Black, and Gimme Shelter didn't just entertain. They captured the rage, confusion, and chaos of their era. Mick's moves, his voice, his presence, it all felt like lightning had struck music itself. But while the world saw fame, Mick felt the cost. The death of Brian Jones in 1969 hit him hard. Brian wasn't just a bandmate, he was one of the original hearts of the Stones. His drowning at just 27 felt like more than a tragedy. It was a warning, a ghost that would follow Mick for years. Not long after came the Altamont Free concert, where a man was killed during the Stones set. What was meant to be a celebration of music became a nightmare, and Mick, once the symbol of youthful freedom, was forced to see how dark that freedom could turn. The innocence of the 60s died that night, and so did something inside Mick. As if that wasn't enough, the infamous Redlands drug bust soon followed, triggered by betrayal from within their own circle. Mick was arrested, publicly shamed, and dragged into court. But instead of pointing fingers, he protected those around him. His silence wasn't weakness, it was loyalty. Yet the experience shattered the illusion of being untouchable. Fame could not shield him. Every step forward came with a price. With tax burdens growing and management battles looming, the Stones fled England, exiling themselves to France. It was there, under pressure and paranoia, that they created Exile on Main Street, one of their most iconic albums. The music was chaotic and brilliant, just like their lives at the time. Even in moments meant to bring joy, there was always a shadow. His wedding to Bianca Jagger was extravagant and mesmerizing, but their marriage quickly became a symbol of what Mick's life had become: public, beautiful, but emotionally distant. They had a daughter, Jade, yet the bond wasn't enough to keep the relationship from unraveling. Fame may bring riches, but it doesn't teach you how to love without breaking something. Mick's attempts at acting added another layer to his public identity. Films like Performance and Ned Kelly revealed his curiosity, his hunger to push beyond the label of rock star. But no matter what he did, he couldn't escape the storm brewing inside. Conflicts within the band escalated. A drunken argument with drummer Charlie Watts in Amsterdam exposed deep cracks in their brotherhood. These weren't just bandmates, they were family, and now even that was fraying. When Ian Stewart, their original pianist and one of Mick's closest allies, passed away, the loss cut deep. It was another reminder that nothing in his world stayed the same. Fame gave him everything, and it took everything too. His romantic life mirrored the turbulence. He was irresistible, yes. But relationships? Those were far more fragile. His first daughter, Karis, was born without acknowledgement. The emotional distance lingered for years. With Bianca, it ended in scandal. With Jerry Hall, things looked more hopeful. They had 4 children together, and for a time it felt stable. But behind the scenes, infidelity and long absences wore the relationship down. Even their son James, who followed in his father's musical footsteps, often felt like he was standing in Mick's shadow, never fully seen. When Luciana Morad gave birth to his son Lucas, Mick remained on the edges, present in name but emotionally distant. And then came the greatest heartbreak of all. In 2014, Mick's longtime partner, Ren Scott, died by suicide. It broke something in him that had never healed. For the first time, he disappeared from the spotlight, unable to even enter the room where she had lived. He was raw, numb, and full of questions that had no answers. Fame couldn't protect him. Applause couldn't comfort him. The loss stayed with him, changing how he moved through the world. Later, he found a new rhythm with Melanie Hamrick and their son Deo. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was calmer, at least on the surface. Still, Mick's family remained a puzzle with missing pieces. 8 children with 5 women, endless tabloid stories, and rumors of thousands of lovers. And yet, despite it all, he often seemed alone. Behind the stage lights and world tours was a man who spent years trying to outrun something he couldn't name. He was always chasing a feeling of love, of belonging, of peace. And he rarely caught it. Then his body reminded him that time was running out. At 75, Mick underwent heart surgery. The man who once seemed immortal was suddenly fragile. When he returned to the stage, it wasn't because he had fully healed. It was because he couldn't stay away. Performing wasn't just his job. It was the last thread tying him to the world. But nothing could prepare him for the blow that came in 2021 when Charlie Watts died. Charlie had been with him through every high and every low. Without him, the stage felt colder. The music still played, but something had been lost forever. Even so, Mick kept moving. His legend only grew. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II, honored in halls of fame, and applauded by generations who saw him as more than a musician. He was a survivor. His influence extended beyond music to philanthropy, supporting causes like AIDS research and climate awareness, often without fanfare. He didn't need the spotlight for that. He did it because underneath everything, he still cared. Now in his 80s, Mick lives a quieter life. His estate in West Sussex is far from the chaos of stadiums and flashing lights. There, surrounded by stillness, he spends time with Melanie and little Deo, no longer chasing fame, but perhaps finally catching a bit of peace. The applause is quieter now, more memory than sound. Yet in those memories, the weight of all he has endured lingers. Every friend lost, every relationship strained, every moment of silence between the chaos, it all sits with him. Mick Jagger's story isn't just one of triumph. It's a mosaic of rebellion, pain, beauty, and transformation. He broke the mold, redefined music, and lived a life bigger than anyone could have imagined. But he also bore the weight of that life, the loneliness, the grief, the cost of always being on. Through it all, he never stopped creating, never stopped performing. Even as the world changed around him, Mick Jagger remained a symbol, not of perfection, but of persistence. A reminder that even legends are human. that behind every scream from the crowd was a man still searching for meaning. If you found this story as powerful and emotional as we did, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more true stories behind the names you thought you already knew.